I'm broke. Me too, man. Good morning. Or is it good afternoon? I think this guy's broke because he's playing online games all day, locked up in his room, Hiki style. Good morning, or is it good afternoon? I don't know what day it is. Yeah, it's unfortunate this game doesn't get more recognition, but I suppose that's exactly why I stream games like this. So many people don't even know IMOQ exists. Anytime I talk about .hack in a public setting, whether that's online or IRL, people think I'm talking about GU. Infection was an important game for me as a child because I was so fascinated by MMOs but had no way to play them. I only had a PlayStation 2. I tried to install EverQuest on my family PC, but it wasn't strong enough. So then I heard about this game coming out called .hack, and I was reading about it in magazines, and it was a game where you play a fake MMO, and I was like, oh, I have to have that. And so I got it and was able to kind of vicariously play an MMORPG on my PlayStation 2. Then of course Final Fantasy XI came to PlayStation 2 and that solved my problems. But for a time, .hack really allowed my imagination to just go crazy. MMOs are so cool. I wish I was a kid again because between work and responsibilities, I have no time. Unfortunate felt. It's crazy frustrating how much time being an adult takes up. If I could give advice to someone in their teens or early 20s, it would probably be the most cliche, overused advice ever. Like, literally just appreciate it while you can. Because you really, like, this is one of those things that you just don't fully internalize until it happens to you. Like, you know, there's so much advice that's given as a blanket general statement to young people, and when you're a young people, you can hear it and agree with it and think you understand it, but you don't actually understand it until you do. And by that point, it's too late to take advantage of it. Like, I don't know. I think I did as much as I could with my circumstances in my teenage years and early 20s. I would change some things, but for the most part, I really look back fondly on those years and I feel very lucky for the amount of experiences I had and the communities I was involved in. But at the same time, there was no way for me to really fully appreciate it then. I don't know. It's just one of those things. There's a difference between knowing something is true versus understanding that it's true. And understanding why it's true and what it means to be true. Golden Goblin tag. Oh, I thought we already did that. Sorry, Black Rose. I gotta go play with the Golden Goblin. Can you, like... You know, I'm not even gonna say anything. I'm just gonna remove her from my party. Nothing you can say to toxic players like Black Rose. Yeah, the time is a big one that you don't really... It's very hard to comprehend the limitations of time and what it means to not have enough time until you just don't have enough time. Yeah, speaking of time, I gotta stream less. That's the only way I'll have enough time to do other things that I want to do. I just get anxious because, you know, my ADHD is so crippling that even if I have time blocked out for something and sit down during that time and say, I'm going to do that thing now, there's no guarantee that I'll be successful at that. Meaning, I don't feel like I have very much agency over my general actions. Like, if I'm not interested in something or don't feel like doing something, it's just not gonna happen. Like, there just has to be that natural, organic, okay, I want to do this thing right now. Maybe I just need to get good. Maybe it's a skill issue, but yeah, I don't know. Because of times, being too aware now of time's limitations, the thought of saying, okay, not going to do this thing that's fun, streaming, and instead I'm gonna block out some time to do this other thing with no guarantee that I'll actually be wanting to do that other thing. But okay, no stream tonight. Now the time comes and I'm gonna do that thing. Oh shit, I can't do it. I just can't make myself do it. Now all that time's gone and I'm never gonna get that time back. That's what I get anxious about. It's not really a healthy way to think about it, but even as adults, we struggle to appreciate things while it's there. I can't imagine how to rationalize that as a teen. True. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, adults are so beaten down by work and life and responsibilities that they, at least in my case, most of my days are thinking about how to escape all the adult responsibilities. And thinking, like, not thinking enough about the present, but also thinking too much about the future in a way that's not necessarily even like true optimism. It's thinking, like, getting excited about short-term things in the future, like vices and escapes, and thinking about, like, man, I can't wait to go home and tap out. You really don't know what you got till it's gone, and I think that's probably a constant no matter what age you are. Although, I will say, during the peak of my Final Fantasy XIV addiction and social life, I did recognize there was a moment I had. Oh yeah, you don't know what you got till it's gone, but I don't know I actually might have an anecdote to counter that to myself, which is during the peak of my Final Fantasy XIV addiction and the peak of it, the social life aspect being very eventful, so many adventures and hanging out all the time with people on there and laughing and having these big, long conversations about cool stuff, screenshotting things and screen recording things. And I had a moment where I started to feel remorseful about my past and the real life social life that I had lost. And I was like, man, I feel like I'm just not doing what I want to do with my life. I wish I could be part of something. Then I was like, wait a minute, I am part of something. And I do have a community that's larger than me. And I am making memories. A big thing was like, man, I really just wish I could be making more memories right now. I really want to make more memories to feel nostalgic for in the future. But then I realized, wait, I am making those memories right now. It's just in a way that I hadn't considered would be fruitful. But it will be. And so I started putting myself in the shoes of future me, because I've had that experience in the past of not recognizing the present as something that could be nostalgic to me someday. And so I was like, this is like a really unique experience that I'm having, this online life. I'm just going to trust that it'll be awesome in the future to look back on, and I'm going to enjoy it as much as I can now. And I did just that, and within like a year, I began looking back on those old screenshots and digging through them and feeling nostalgia, feeling like a sense of longing for those days to return. Yeah, so I think you kind of can live and learn. It's just a constant struggle to keep perspective where you remember all these things that you've learned. Oh my god. Whoops, I wasn't paying attention. Damn. Black Rose just grilled me. Reps. We don't have time. Man, pipe down. Yeah? I need to join your Discord. Also, you're not alone. I also have ADHD, which has affected my ability to finish work. As a matter of fact, I don't think I've ever finished my games 100%. Even with the most passionate stuff I do, which is making music and art, it really depends on the day and time to feel motivated to do it. Hey Squishy, thanks for tapping in. Yeah, feel free to join the Discord anytime, top right there, or in the description of this stream on YouTube. It should be in there. Let me know if it's an outdated link. Yeah, it fucking sucks. I'm glad you understand. It's such a hard thing to communicate to someone. I mean, even with my therapist today, I was talking to her. I was trying to explain it to her, and I was like, I told her everything takes up the same amount of space in my head. Whether it's brushing my teeth or doing my taxes, it all has the same it takes up the same amount of space. Like, imagine a grocery store shelf. An orange on the shelf uses the same amount of shelf space as a fucking baby crib. So the shelves fill up very quickly. And it's like, man, I should be able to put more stuff on this shelf. I don't know if that's a good analogy or not, but that's how it feels for me. So it's like mental constipation all the time. Just the idea of doing one thing, like, clogs up the pipes, and then I can't reposition my brain to other things. And if those couple of things that are consuming all this space are not interesting to me, or are things I just do not want to do, then it's impossible to do anything else. It's like really hard to enjoy time because of that. And yeah, I can be passionate all I want, but if I'm not passionate in the moment, I may as well never been passionate about it. Like, I'll go through phases of fixations. I'll maybe have 2 weeks where I'm hyper fixated on fucking World War II or something, and I just dig super deep, and it's all I'm having a blast researching it, and it's all I'm thinking about. But then just one day, that interest dissolves, and now it's like you couldn't pay me to research World War II, and it's like, I have zero interest in this. In fact, it's painful to even try researching World War II now. Like, it makes me squirm, the thought of it. But it's like, just a day ago, I was super into it and was trying to I wanted to change my life trajectory for it. I wanted to fucking go to university to study World War II. Yesterday, what happened? Yeah, I wanted to go to Europe yesterday. I was about ready to fucking move to Europe. Now I don't even want to read the word Europe. What happened? Certain things I can trust that the passion will return more frequently than other things, because it always is a cycle. If I do get super fixated on something, I usually do get fixated on it again at some point. For some reason, something will just trigger something in my mind, like a little sprinkle of dopamine will trigger that hyper focus on the thing, and it's almost like magic. It's just something twists a little knob in there, and suddenly I'm having a blast with the thing again. And so there are certain hobbies or passions that I can trust will return more frequently than others. For instance, music, making music, working on that side of my creativity. And when I can truly trust that it's going to return and have some experience maneuvering within those tasks without that interest or passion, I can usually kind of sometimes push through the boredom, because I trust that this is going to be something I'll appreciate later. But then there are also times where I don't have that vision and can't trust that vision. If the thing is boring to me and I don't trust that I actually care about it, then it's like just so futile. Sometimes I don't actually trust that my interest is sincere or reliable. Does that make sense? There was something recently that I was really into for a while and then stopped being into, that I was like questioning whether it was something I actually ever cared about in the first place. I was like, am I depressed? Or did I just not actually ever care about this thing? Sometimes it's hard to know. And I don't know if that's I don't know if that's something a lot of people feel, or if it's an ADHD thing or a depression thing, or all three. My roommate has ADHD, and it took me years to understand how it feels for you guys. Yeah. Oh yeah, I was trying to explain it to my therapist earlier about how sometimes it's really hard for me to do anything because it all is taking up the same amount of space in my brain. I was like, even brushing my teeth is taking up the same amount of space in my head as doing my taxes. And her immediate reaction was almost not annoyance, but like as if she saw me regressing and felt like, okay, but it, you know, she didn't say it exactly like this, but she was like, okay, but is that rational? Can we recognize that that's irrational and you shouldn't have enough as the same amount of pressure to brush your teeth as doing your taxes? I was like, yeah, duh, I know that, and that's why it's frustrating. That's why it fucking is agonizing. She like didn't get it, and that was when I was like, that's when I realized, I guess, that maybe this isn't something everyone deals with. Because I was like questioning last night, I was having this thought of wanting to ask you guys, do you feel like you have a sense of free will? Because I don't feel like I have free will, like genuinely. I feel like I'm at the mercy of like chaos and whatever just happened. That's why I do like streaming so much, because it forces me to kind of lock in on one thing for 2 or 3 hours or more. Like if I'm streaming, I can't get easily distracted by other things, and I don't have to grapple with the pain of trying to focus on other things. It's like I'm just doing this. That's why part of why streaming has been so like relieving, and why it's really hard for me to not stream these days. In general, I don't feel like I have free will, which is insane. I mean, I think most people know that the idea that like if you put your mind to it, you can do anything. I think most working adults understand a lot of that is a myth, and the hustle grind set, anything is accomplishable as long as you work hard, put your mind to it. We all know that that's kind of nonsense, right? At least to some degree. Luck is when hard work meets opportunity. There's truth to that, sure. But the idea that you can manifest anything, I suppose we can all have different takes on it, but when it comes, it's not necessarily what I'm talking about when I mean free will. What I mean by that is just self-determination, in the sense that like I can decide I want to do a thing and then I'll do it. So I don't it's even just putting on my fucking clothes and going outside for a walk is such a monumental task most days. Like the amount of energy required for me to fucking find my clothes, pick out what to wear, put on my shoes, get my keys, my wallet, open the door, walk down the steps, fucking make sure the trash is taken out. Yeah, there's like a zillion things going on just to do that, just to go for a walk, for me anyway. So it makes it like I can't decide to just do that. Like it has to be an organic thing that's fun enough to the point where I'm not having to think about those little steps in between being in my chair and then walking. Like every single step in between me being in my chair and then outside walking down the sidewalk listening to my favorite tunes, each step is equal to one another, when I think it shouldn't necessarily be that way. Like it should not be fucking rocket science to put on a pair of jeans and a shirt and shoes and go outside. But to me, it may as well be writing a 600-word essay on the fucking Spanish Inquisition. Okay, that's an exaggeration, but I don't know. I don't feel like I can just choose to go take a walk. It has to be a culmination of factors lining up to where it's like, you know, I'm sick of this shit. I'm gonna go outside and take a walk. It's hard for me to know what's quote-unquote normal for other people and what's quote-unquote normal for me, because I know everyone experiences difficulties in their day-to-day, whether it's this type of thing I'm describing or something else, and everyone struggles to get motivated to do things. Everyone hates doing things they don't want to do. A lot of people feel bad about things they're not doing. A lot of people have big long to-do lists where nothing gets crossed out and the list just keeps growing like a CVS receipt. It's just, how does it manifest for other people? am curious. I'm curious if people think they have free will or feel they have free will. If they feel like they can decide to do things or a sense of agency in their day-to-day lives. I think gaming is the only time I feel a sense of agency. That's another thing about streaming and gaming. I think it's one of the few things where I felt a sense of control or agency. Yes, like smoking. Smoking is a tough one. I mean, addiction, right? Addiction is brutal. That's like a real true feeling like you don't have control over yourself. And I've wondered, am I addicted to escapism? Am I just addicted to screens? Am I addicted to the computer and video games? Maybe that's part of it. It could be a big part of it. It's like, maybe I'm just addicted to cool stuff, like video games. I mean, there's no real way to know unless I truly got off the junk. And maybe I should, but not now. I can quit whenever I want. Yeah, I mean, I've been addicted to substances. I mean, hell, I am right now, but I've been addicted to very unhealthy substances. But yeah, I was very much dependent on unhealthy substances in my early 20s. I actually went to rehab for it, but I never felt like I was an addict in the Narcotics Anonymous sense or the AA sense. I felt like I was self-medicating through a very difficult situation. And I was. I see myself as still self-medicating, not because, you know, I was never going to go out on the street to buy such the illicit substances I was using back then just happened to be around me and easily accessible. And once I got out of that situation and they were no longer easily accessible, I didn't use the substances. I wasn't going to go out on the street to buy them. It wasn't about the substance itself. It was about this situation and medicating symptoms and escaping. And I still think I'm doing that in different ways. So if anything, I think there's something still not treated rather than a unchecked addiction. You provide some pretty good points about free will. I don't even know what normal is. I've always questioned this. I think every single thing I do feels like a chore, even if it's the simplest thing, such as choosing what clothes to wear, which color to choose for my drawing. I also feel like a slave to my phone, trying to fish for a dopamine fix. My escapism a form of depression, addiction, or both. Maybe that explains why I've been having a hard time maintaining consistent design jobs. Yeah, I'm glad to commiserate. It fucking sucks. I'm sorry to hear that you are apparently experiencing such similar things, considering those particular things suck ass. And it's really hard. And yeah, the only reason I ever question what quote-unquote normal is and whether other people experience difficulties with the same things is because I'm trying to figure out if it's a me problem. Is it just something I need to learn and get good at? Or is it something that needs help and treatment outside of me? I guess is why I question it. Why I have those same questions as you. I never like the response I sometimes get from people when I talk about certain behavioral struggles of my own. I knew someone that always used to tell me like, oh, that's normal, or I think that's really common. They were saying it from a place of trying to reassure me that I wasn't weird or broken. But to me, it got interpreted by my ego as like, oh, so everyone deals with that, so I must be failing in some way if it's so hard for me. I think I bring it up because it relates to why I ask those questions in the first place, is whether I need outside help or if it's a get good issue. And so that response makes me like, oh, it is a get good issue. But if it is just a get good issue, maybe that's true. Maybe I do just need to get good. God. Hey, Talon. Been a minute, man. How's it going? We're just over here commiserating about ADHD and being... having chaotic, dark, twisted mindsets. What's up with you? How's your twisted mind doing? I don't think I have this dot hack game. Oh, I think I have this dot hack game. Yeah, dot hack infection. It hasn't been ported. Do you have like a physical copy of PS2? The PS2 one? Excuse me. Dot hack recode. Oh, GU. Yeah. Nobody knows about the original quadrilogy. Most people know dot hack GU. Used to watch the TV show. Yeah, I only remember the iconic kick-ass opening of the TV show. Dot hack sign. Goes like that. Hell yeah. Love that song. They really don't make openings like that anymore. But yeah, I haven't watched Dot Hack Sign. I've only ever heard that it's boring, but then some people really love it. I ought to watch it. I've seen a couple episodes of Liminality. So this original quadrilogy: infection, mutation, outbreak, quarantine, data drain. This is gonna be sick. Watch this. Epilepsy warning. So IMOQ, infection, mutation, outbreak, quarantine on PS4, the original 4 games. Each installment was sold separately, sadly. So you had to buy the fucking game 4 times. But each one came with an episode of an anime OVA that took place in the real world, but during the same time period and same general universe. So the idea was you play the game, beat the game, then watch the disc, the OVA episode that came on the second disc, and they kind of like pair together, so you kind of get to see what's going on in the real world at the same time as the events that are happening in the game. And that's sick. It's very Lane feeling. The OVA is Liminality. Dot hack Liminality. It's a great experience. Although, with each game in the original quad being goddamn 20 hours long or more, and there not being any like variants of gameplay beyond them occasionally adding in fucking piggy races and whatever, it's a bit of a slog to get through back to back. I haven't even beaten the second installment, and Dot Hack Infection is one of my favorite things ever. Okay, let's get going. Shut up, Black Rose. I'm trying to get going. The NPCs are supposed to be real people in an MMO, right? Yeah, that's right. I'm counting on you, Kite. When you go to town and talk to the NPCs running around, they'll say stuff like, they'll like key smash and then be like, that was my cat stepping on my keyboard, sorry. We'll be back there once we clear this dungeon. The entire game loop is dungeon crawl, back to town, log out, check your email, check the message boards, go to town, dungeon crawl, back to town, log out, and repeat forever. For 100 hours. But, of course, mixed in there is like recruiting optional party members, relationship building by emailing people. There's like very light like side questing and light minigame content, but it's a very sort of limited in scope, small scope. The UI reminds me of PSO. Yeah, it feels very much related or inspired by PSO. They might have been inspired directly, the devs. I feel like I might be making that up, but it could also be true that as something I read one time. Bruh, emailing people, we play a game so you don't have to do that. Hey, you're emailing someone right now. Me. Through instant messaging. That's what you're doing in this game. The loop even sounds like PSO. Yeah, it's totally... Yeah, you're right. It's exactly that. Imagine they added an off-brand AIM for the game. Don't they have that kind of in like Persona? Like Persona 5? Motherfuckers be... Yusuke, I'm busy with Chie. Wait, that's Persona 4, right? Yusuke, I'm doing mini golf right now with Chie. Please fuck off. Send. Brigandine. Ooh. Also, I just realized we're in somebody's guts. We went in through a big mouth to get in here, and now, as we look around... Ew. Looking real veiny in here. Also, we're getting our ass kicked here. Oh, I was gonna say this game, always kind of had mixed reception as well, and I think there's been something... There's been a... I don't want to say misconception. There's been a general idea regurgitated about its combat being archaic, even when it was new. And you know, they updated the combat and changed it for GU and made it more fully action-based. But having played this game a bunch a couple of years ago, got really deep into it, I came away with the conclusion that it's actually just misunderstood. To me, high-level .hack IMOQ combat is more like an RTS than an action RPG, and I think a lot of people like think of it as something that's trying to be like an action RPG or like a worse PSO combat. But when you get into some of the higher level boss battles, you're menuing so much and so quickly. It feels more like an RTS because you're constantly directing your party members to rebuff themselves, buff you, change your equipment to use this skill, change their equipment to use this skill, and you're doing these things so quickly. To me, it started to feel less like an action RPG and more just like a real-time strategy game, if anything. It just so happens that you have to click X to do a normal attack. Hey, there's a worm. Hey, get your ass back here. Uh-oh, Black Rose is dying. The anime is good if you like serial experiments, lane type stuff, slow but psychological and mature. I like the sound of that. Yeah, it's all about expectations too. It sounds like if Sword Art Online was for... If Sword Art Online wasn't for the tasteless... man, I think it's time for a fucking bathroom break. How about that? Sword Art Online... But it's for the cultured anime enjoyers instead of the unwashed masses. Thank you. Took the words right out of my brain. Yeah, I think, you know, when people think of isekais and they think of .hack and they think about MMO inspired stuff, they're thinking action and adventure. Not chill out. Who am I? Why are my friends going into comas from playing this game? I'm sad. That's not exactly what comes to mind when you think MMO isekai content, but it's what should be put into your mind. It's not about what comes to your mind, it's what should be what should be putting into your mind. What are the things that should be put into your mind? And that's exactly what .hack sign sounds like to me. Never put it in your mind without protection. Yeah, I agree. Maybe like, you know, some antidepressants or something before you watch Lane. .hack isn't about aura farming and cool self-inserts, so it's hard for some people to get into. That's right. They'll learn someday. I love challenging myself with experimental media. Get on my level, I'm kind of different in that way. I'm that one nerd who's not content with frickin' Marvel movies and, what else do they like? Although, you know, there's some truth, like, I can't imagine being content with not digging up stuff that's not easy to like. You know? I feel like part of my life's journey that makes it worth experiencing is digging up shit. Sometimes it's shit, sometimes it's gold, or sometimes it's just kind of a cool looking rock. That's like, hey, this is a cool rock. I think the search for new movies or games or anime or comic books or anything like that, the search is almost as fun as digesting it. The thing itself, you know? I love scrolling around Letterboxd, or sometimes I go into GameStop just to look at games. Not even to buy anything, just because it's fun to look at video games. But at the same time, I do think there's probably something to be envious of, maybe I'm just projecting, but there is something I feel envious of, like being satisfied with just what's put in front of you. Maybe I have too much time. I think being single makes it really easy to spend all of my time immersed in my interests. So maybe if my priorities were different, maybe if I had different priorities, I would be a different person. Esoteric media of a bygone era, who will? Absolutely. I think that's like a huge motivator for me. Looking up obscure media is like, everyone has already seen this thing. Everyone's already seen Captain Marvel. I don't need to watch it. There's this other thing over here that nobody's seen. Somebody's got to do it. Somebody's got to watch it. Make sure it's not buried treasure. Though I will say, becoming a professional streamer has taught me some games are obscure for a reason. Sometimes games have remained obscure because they're not good. I wish I had more resolve or like patience for shitty games, because there's so many shitty games that have a really interesting aesthetic or cool concept or story or something, but I actually have very little patience for bad games, unfortunately. Like, I have to be having fun at all times. It is what it is. A lot of those games were good back then, but they're garbage now. Yeah, there's been a bunch of them, but I wish I could remember what we were playing that I was like, man, I wish this game was fun to play. And then we replayed Hell Knight shortly after I flushed the previous game, and I was like, man, Hell Knight is where it's at for a true hidden gem. Like, this is what I'm talking about right here. It really made me appreciate Hell Knight in a big way. I wish I could remember what freaking game that was, though. That looked really cool, but then ended up being shitty. Maybe it was Rule of Rose or something? No, because Rule of Rose has too much, like, infamy. It was something more obscure than that. Sentient? Oh, maybe it was Sentient. It might have been this PlayStation 1 game called Sentient that we tried to play, and seemed really cool in concept and had a really cool aesthetic, but was just so not playable. And then we played some Hell Knight, and it just made me appreciate Hell Knight so much for being so playable, such a great aesthetic and vibe and everything. Like, man, all this time later, such a simple game is still so fun to me, compared to Sentient, which is also a first-person adventure game with kind of a dark sci-fi aesthetic that unfortunately just kind of sucks to play. So, you win some, you lose some. The CG game that broke midway through. Oh, that was D. Yeah, that was D on whatever console we played it on. Either Saturn or PlayStation 1, I don't remember. But yeah, D. It was D, right? Where I like couldn't figure out how to press a button during a certain puzzle. I was like, how the fuck do I get how do I get my hand out of this puzzle? That was D, right? We played through another Kenji Eno game, Enemy Zero. That game ruled. Echo Knight 2 broke midway through, but I don't think that's what you're talking about. Not RMJ Mystery Hospital, right? A lady threw a live grenade at us. We passed her a vibe check. Oh, Angel Devoid. You're Angel Devoid. Yeah. That one, right? That's the first game I made like a highlight compilation out of and posted on my YouTube channel. I made a highlight compilation out of that. Yeah, that was Angel Devoid, aka Death Mask. We played the Japanese Sega Saturn version of it, and it broke at the end. Yeah. That game was like so... It was fun. It was like fun. It was definitely playable. I mean, until it wasn't. Until it was literally unplayable, that is. It's certainly not something I'd ever like be like, yo, you gotta check this out. Angel Devoid. Could have been worse. We tried to play Lunacy on Sega Saturn, and that one was definitely like playable in the most fundamental sense, but it was so like dull. It was really surprisingly dull to me. Lots of going back and forth in this same copy paste town, basically talking to this person, now go over here, talk to that person, now go up the street, talk to that person, now go back down the street, talk to that person, which was a little unfortunate because I know the Game Grumps played through Lunacy, and it does have a little bit of, I don't know if cult following is too strong of a word, but it always seemed like it's so bad it's good type of thing. And it's definitely not bad. It does have some good things going for it, but that was one of the few FMV adventure games that I flushed. That's one of the few FMV adventure games that I flushed for being boring. And I also flushed Juggernaut on PlayStation 1. However, so that was back in October. That was one of the very first attempts at a full motion Monday concept of playing a full motion adventure game on Mondays. Or slow paced adventure game. We tried Juggernaut back then, and I think that was before D. And D is the game that taught me, like, okay, just have a walkthrough on hand for these old ass adventure games. But this was before that, when I tried Juggernaut for the first time. And I got so lost, and like we were wandering around for so long, I ended up flushing that game back then. However, ever since then, there's been something inside of me urging me to give it another try and do it right this time, have a walkthrough ready. And so we started it on this past Monday, just a couple days ago, and it was way more fun, and the pace was way better, and the vibe is excellent. I'm excited to play some more of that, either this weekend or next Monday. It's really long though, for that type of game. Oh, I died! Hey, come on, Black Rose, do your thing. I'm a spectator now. Spectator mode. That's funny. I didn't know this happens.